What's up, YouTube? Sean the Average Angler, and we are going to talk about one of my favorite ways to catch them because, man, when they are eating these things, it can be a load of fun. We are talking about squarebills today, and I got 4 boxes that I brought in, and these I picked a few out, kind of to cover the gamut of a wide variety of things and or types, if you will. They're all a little bit different. And first I'll start out by showing you. This is Lucky Craft LC 2.5. It's the TO models. And these are very reasonable. They're tough. They're good. They catch fish. And really, they're good straight out of the package. Although I do, on tournament day, tend to upgrade the hooks. Now, the 2.5 versus a 1.5, I don't have a 1.5 that I brought in. This is a Speed Trap 1.5, and you'll see it's quite a bit different. Okay, I go with a 2.5 for Clear Lake, the Delta in certain areas. It really depends on size of fish you're anticipating to catch, as well as the bait size can affect it. Okay, I got a couple of different craw patterns there. Anyway, these are my everyday staples, okay? Craw. There's a shad pattern. These are very reasonable, folks. I think you can get them at Bass Pro Shops for, they got sticky hooks, as you didn't see. That just stuck in my finger. They're ready to go out the package. Very affordable, very effective. The 1.5s and 2.5s, okay? If I was fishing a bank, I'd probably throw a 1.5. Now this one you saw me pick up earlier, this is an OG Speed Trap. These were like the biggest thing around here for when they were new. The only knock on these is they break. Very thin-walled. You don't want to slap the originals on the water to get weeds off, because then you hook a fish, it's a big one, and you come back with just the head of your bait because it broke off. However, the new ones aren't as effective as what these were. These are the original Speed Traps. This is the bigger one. I think it's a 1/4 ounce, 3/16 or 1/8. They're pretty light, folks. These aren't necessarily the best for in the wind. These are good tight quarters, shorter cast crankbaits. Okay, they're not the ones you're going to go out and chuck in the wind a country mile. Those first ones I showed you, the Lucky Craft 2.5s and 1.5s. There is the Strike King Squarebills, same thing, okay? 1.5, 2.5s, much heavier. Now this is an old school one that honestly, I don't know if they still make. This was, what was the brand? Was it Lord Jensen also? This was a Timber Tiger. This was made for throwing into the wood. And you can see how the hooks are reset. See how that front hook is kind of tucked up in there under the body here in this lip. So this hook would ride up, and man, you could fish these through wood pretty effectively. And in the early days, these things were money. Most of our wood, unfortunately, here has decayed and it's gone. So I haven't thrown these in a while. I should carry them in the boat because there's always that time where you'd like to put something like that on. Square bills are a lot of fun. And I will throw them anywhere from 12-pound test, even as low as 10 with the smaller Lure Jensen speed trap. That was this one. All the way up to 20. 20 with the Lucky Craft 2.5s and these two here, two more Lucky Crafts, BDS 4 and the BDS 3. Little size difference. I don't know if you can pick it out there. The body's a little bit thicker on the red one, which is the BDS 4. And you'll notice that the bills aren't like a true square bill. They're kind of rounded on the edges. These are phenomenal. And the BDS 3 became hard to get for a while because Lucky Craft quit making them. I don't know why, if they weren't selling, so they kept the BDS 4, but the BDS 3 was, at least in my area, the better bait. Silent, right? Try to fold the hooks up, so silent square bill. These are heavy. These cast really well into the wind. And they come in all kinds of colors. You see some chartreuse stuff here. There's more speed traps up here. Some more BDSs and craw patterns. I'm pretty dialed on the craw patterns. Around my neck of the woods, my home waters, it's the craw patterns that are primary, especially around spring. Actually goes into summer. Oh, I almost forgot. Cheers. All right, then we got a few that are a little more expensive. Okay, this is the S crank. These are 20 some odd dollar crankbaits. And look, I know they're expensive. I'm not telling anyone to go out and buy them. There was a time in my life where I said I would never spend that much money on a bait. This is the Evoke 2.0. The Evokes and the S-Crank both have a much different swim. So when you're on a square bill bite, or everybody's square bill, and that's really the time when I will pull these out, okay? So that you get a different swim. Most of where I throw this stuff is typically going to be around docks or grass. Edges, holes in grass, lanes in grass. You can go down flats are another good place to do it. But I typically, except with the 2.5 and the BDSs, are going to be a little bit more close quarters type casting, okay? Little underhand roll cast. I'm casting for accuracy. Usually I'm throwing them all on a 7-foot medium heavy cranking rod. The one I like is the PAL 705. I've had them for a long time. Don't see any need to get them. I did recently get that PAL 725 naked. Great rod. It's a little lighter than the other one, so it's almost like fishing the same length. And then we have some of the more specialty ones, which I'm sure most people are familiar with. I believe that's a Fritz side. Yeah, Fritz side 5. Flat side early season crankbait. And I got one special one here I'm going to show you folks. And this thing has put so many big fish in the boat. And actually this didn't come this color. I had this one custom painted, and it's looking a little rough, but it still serves its purpose. And this is a Zenith Z-Bite. Extremely loud knocker. One knock, right? And I'll show you the original, what that looked like when I bought it. There you can see it's a very short lip. It only runs about a foot and a half under the water. It's a bulky bait, it's heavy, very easy to cast into the wind, against the wind. You can see here the label starting to wear off, but you can still see Z-Bite. Used to get these from a place called Specialty Tackle. Kind of before online was online, right? Yeah, this one, you can see better. Zenith Z-Bite. Now, I don't know if somebody took them over, bought the company, but they're phenomenal. It's a phenomenal post-spawn bait. We've won tournaments casting these around docks post-spawn. You can throw them over grass, you know, that's just down in the water. You can hold your rod tip up. It'll keep it from running even a foot and a half. You can burn them. You can fish them really slow. I like to move them pretty well. I just noticed the hook on the back of this one's pretty bent. And you'll notice I got a pretty small hook on the back. The back of the bait's really narrow. Didn't need a big hook on there. And you'll see from the factory, that's how they are. That's the factory hooks on this one. So, when to use square bills? And what is going to determine what I'm using? Out here in the West, we don't have a ton of bodies of water where we get shad spawns. However, we do have Clear Lake that gets Clear Lake gets very big shad. A few years back, now I think it's been 5 or 6 years, they had a shad kill. That year, the squarebill bite was just phenomenal. I mean, it didn't matter where you went on the lake. They were biting off the chain. And numbers of bites was a shad pattern. Didn't matter, I really like this one. It's got the little gold, good detail on that BDS, but just a shad pattern. They were keying on shad, but the craw color is what I caught all the big fish on. Now, I didn't get bit near as much on it. I mean, like 7-to-1, 8-to-1, something like that. We're biting the shad pattern. It was almost every cast with the shad pattern. But every once in a while, I would pick up that craw bait, that craw color, in the LC 2.5, the first one I showed you, and cast that thing around. The other thing was the fish that were biting that were a little further off the bank. The ones that were keying on the shad were right up on the bank. So that was a day where I started to position myself out a little further and work the bait all the way back to the boat. Because you don't want to sell yourself short when you know some of those fish are staying out a little bit further. This is a really cool BDS for Matt. Got the little claws on the bill there. Even the sides feel different. These are really smooth because they're painted. This feels more like almost like a rubber type coating. I don't know what they used on it. Looks really cool. Is it better? I don't know. One thing I can say about the BDSs, they all work. They do cost a little bit more. I think they're around 13, 14 bucks a piece. Maybe a little bit more. There's a custom painted. Is that the Evoke? It's an Evoke or an S-crank. That's S-crank. I got this online. I'm sure it's a knockoff. Pretty cool pattern though. Something different. And then the ever popular new release, that's the OG Ott's Garage. Really cool looking bait. I kind of wanted to mess around and compare this to the Frit side to see if I get any difference. I don't have enough experience with those to tell you off the bat. Hasn't been the best crankbait fishing in my area the last year or two, and part of that's just when I've got to go out and go fish. Life happens, those kinds of things, and you don't always get to fish as much or when you want. That's that LC 2.5, another cool pattern. All right, folks, that's what we have today. Squarebills, I love fishing them. They're so much fun. You don't need any special tackle. 12 pound to 20 pound, depending on what you're doing. And I love it when I can get on a 20 pound. This Zenith Z-Bite, I won't throw it less than 20 pounds. This bait is really heavy. I wish I had my scale in here, but I bet you that's 3/4 of an ounce, at least 5/8, if not 3/4. Heavy bait, doesn't run very deep, casts really, really well, and it just drives fish nuts. I mean, the wobble on this bait, look how wide that is. That black doesn't really show the curvature and all that stuff really well, but this thing is insane. And I'm really looking forward to it this year because we have received our second year in a row of heavy rain. We have high waters everywhere. And that bait is gonna be on this year. So check them out. Look online, search Z-Bite. Zenith Z-Bite is what that is. See if you can find some. If you can, I think they're worthwhile. I don't know what they're going for. There were some people that knew about them back then. There was a small group of us that got into fishing them, and even then they weren't that easy to get because the guy was importing them from Japan. It was specialty tackle, which I think they're gone now. But there's probably someone else, you know. Great bait, phenomenal results, super fun to fish. When you get on a good squarebill bite, folks, it's pretty special. Sean the Average Angler, like, subscribe, come back and watch another video. We'll see you soon. Peace out.